Hello, I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Caroline, and we're interior designers. More and more people are asking us about what we do and how we do it.
Which brings us to our new design adventure, the Design Duet. Join us as we discuss the ins and outs and the ups and downs of interior design.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hi, Caroline. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Good, thank you.
Good to hear. Well, we've got a good one coming up today. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of flipping a house.
Yes, and there's lots, aren't there?
There is. So it sounds like fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does sound like fun,
And
but is it?
I agree with you because a lot of people are just so into doing this. And I feel like because of what is going on around us, especially on TV,
Yeah,
people think that it's doable.
that's right. There's just so many shows making it look so easy.
I agree. And this may depend on your stage of life.
Definitely.
If you're up for doing this, because your much younger self would probably consider and potentially do it as a business.
Yeah, because, you're younger, fitter, you think you can do anything.
And you might have a little bit more access to, YouTubes and
Yes.
and friends who can help you out.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
things like that.
So hence starting a business perhaps.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas your older self, Caroline, it's a completely different situation, isn't it? When you're older, perhaps you might be thinking you'd like to do a DIY as a hobby
Yes.
or perhaps to create some extra cash to maybe top up your super
Yep.
or to maybe move your grown-up children out of home.
Yes.
But it's completely different depending on the stage of your life.
Yeah.
I
So
think it's a really interesting topic.
I agree with you. And it's not for the faint-hearted, is it?
Definitely not.
You really need to be serious about it. And I think that you need to be dedicated because it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, there's no easy way of saying it. I think a lot of people think because the shows make it look so easy that really you're working from the ground up. It's hard
Absolutely.
yakka.
It is hard yakka. So, from the beginning, you probably need to, seek some guidance.
Yes.
You may need to have a look at real estate a lot more and even, buddy up with a real estate agent.
Talk to some professionals.
Get
in
some
the
guidance
industry.
from them.
Do your research basically.
Absolutely. Because it can cost you the bottom line.
Definitely. A big one, Caroline, is take emotions out of the house purchase, shall we say, before you start a DIY. Just don't get too invested in it emotionally because that's where you'll lose money 100%. And you've got to remember that people aren't looking for some fancy property usually when it comes to house flipping. They just want a house that's functional first and foremost, and also you're not going to be moving into it. So if you're flipping, you've got to really be thinking this is a business and you've got to think objectively and not think, but I really want those beautiful tiles in the bathroom because it'll just make me feel so good because you're not going to be using it.
No, it's not about you.
No.
So you need to set yourself some guidelines, and probably the biggest one that we would talk about would be your budget.
Yeah. Don't let your emotions get into your budget.
No. And that is from actually buying all the way through to what works you're going to be doing.
Yes.
So you've really got to think about, okay, this is my budget. I can't go over it.
Yeah.
And if you are to go over it, how can you pull it back?
Yeah. I guess if you're a regular house flipper, say you do 2 houses a year or something, I guess you get better and better with that.
Without a doubt. How many people have we spoken to who say it's easier as you go along? The first one is often your hardest.
Yeah.
And that's the first one is the one that people give up on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, yeah, if you can get through your first one and make even just a tiny little bit of money, then you're right. And you will have learnt from that first one.
Absolutely.
And with whatever you've learnt, you can take it to your next job and the next job will just be easier and perhaps better.
Absolutely. So first up, finding a property.
Yes.
Isn't it? So finding a property in what sort of suburb are you going to be looking for? So what sort of property do you think you might do? So, is it going to be a townhouse? Is it going to be a flat, a unit?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be a freestanding home?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be for, a family? Or is it going to be for, a single person, a couple of bedrooms, one that's one bedroom with study? So it's all those sort of things you've got to consider.
Got to know your target audience.
And your target market.
That's right.
And where you're going to buy.
That's right.
Because do you want to be near schools if you've got children? Do you want to be, down near the beach, bayside?
Close to the shops.
Absolutely.
So should we start talking about the pros of flipping a house?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that the number one consideration is the profit it provides if it's done successfully. You can make a lot of money flipping houses.
Sure can. Especially if you find one, diamond in the best street, but it's the worst house.
That's right.
But you can see that it's got potential. You can see that it's got great bones. So go for it. Why wouldn't you give it a go?
Yeah.
If you know that you could make, good money from that.
Absolutely. Success from this could be as simple as where you buy and sell.
I agree with you.
Financially, this could lead also to freedom, shall we say, financial freedom. If you do well, you'll reap the rewards financially.
Yeah. And, we have found, in our years of working, a lot of people, this is what they do for their full-time job.
Yeah.
And it does lead often into other things. So
yes.
It may be them, doing this, first one and then going to the second one. Then, like you were saying before, a couple each year. And then, employing other people to help them out.
Yes.
And getting a team together so that they can do several.
Yes, that's right.
And project manage them.
That's right.
Maybe not even on the tools.
Yeah, that's right. Well, a big pro is it allows creativity, doesn't it? Making an eyesore attractive and desirable to the masses. It's also finding properties that reach their potential. And if you've got half a clue and you know what you're doing, you just can't lose.
Absolutely. And it is very self-motivating.
It's very. Well, your own boss.
You're your own boss. If you're doing it by yourself, for yourself, it is something that you've got to get up for every day and show up and do the work.
That's right.
So if you are, working on your own job to flip it, you often would be more, motivated to complete the job in a shorter period of time so that you can get to the next.
Yeah, that's right.
Make some good money.
Yeah, and it's exciting and allows creativity.
Absolutely.
Also, a pro is providing someone a turnkey property.
Yeah.
Which is someone who just wants to be able to lock the door and go. They don't want to have to maintain anything, do anything. It's kind of like a hotel really, but it's maybe an apartment or a house. That's a fantastic thing that house flippers do for clients.
And also if you're time poor.
That's right.
If someone's going to do all this hard work for you, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's the way to go, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, it just sounds ideal, really, especially if you're travelling a lot. You just want a property that you can come and go from. And that's what I would consider a turnkey, and a lot of house flippers create those for people.
Absolutely. Another thing we talked about is developing your lifetime skills, but in all different areas. So you're now going to work as a house flipper, but you're also going to be doing a lot of DIYing yourself. So you've definitely got to consider doing it yourself is a big thing.
Yes.
So you've got to be knowledgeable in, doing, for example, landscaping.
Yeah.
Floorings. You've got to be knowledgeable in painting, some sort of building.
Yes.
Just knowing, what's out there and what needs to be done. This is
also up to date with rules and regulations.
Absolutely. We talk about that a lot, don't we?
You're literally an accountant. Yes. Constantly looking at your budget,
oh, gosh.
where you can save, where you can spend, all that,
yes.
Really self-motivating, isn't it?
It is, but definitely
and it's a bit scary too.
Very scary. Definitely having that budget as your number one goal.
Yeah, that's right.
And keeping to that. But as we've talked about in previous podcasts, Chrissy, talking yourself through how you can save money.
Yes.
So where can you, put a little bit more into and take a little bit less out of looking at, places that have sales and, places that, Facebook Marketplace, things like that. Like, having that, in the back of your mind and knowing what you need to purchase for, if you're doing, up to doing your kitchen, keeping your eye every night on, what's in, Facebook Marketplace so that you can perhaps, purchase that, use that piece in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Dents, scratches, things that are, are reduced in price because of that, or overruns, or, things that are on special.
Yeah. So, look, I think another pro for house flipping is you become a great project manager. You develop incredible skills which you could take into other jobs.
Yeah.
If this is a side hustle. So there's a lot going for it, really, at this point as we discuss it.
Absolutely.
Isn't there? So maybe we should perhaps talk about cons of house flipping.
Okay. So, Will, your financial risk.
Yeah.
This can be unexpected financial risk, when it comes to a renovation.
Well, you're opening up a can of worms.
You are. So, again, we're always lead back to making sure, if you don't actually understand, building, or you're not really a builder yourself, making sure you do have a building inspector come with you, on site before you purchase anything.
Yeah, don't scrimp on that.
Don't scrimp on that. I think that's just number one.
And then you've got the economic climate.
Yeah.
There's always going to be market fluctuations and volatility tied up in market conditions. You've got economic downturns. Look at our interest rates right now. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is. It's madness at the minute.
And this affects the market, the actual buying and selling. People get scared. House prices go down. This affects house flipping from year to year.
Absolutely.
1 year the market could be up. The next year it could be down 20%. So you've got to be up to date with all of that. You've got to watch it every day.
And have a backup plan.
And have a backup plan. If you've bought a property and then suddenly the interest rates have gone up.
What are you going to do?
You might have to have an ulterior plan where you might say, okay, I'm going to hold on that one. I'm going to rent that one out.
Yeah.
You've got to know what you're doing.
Absolutely. And, having a backup plan, I think that is just the key to all of this house flipping.
It's also like if you've got a prolonged holding period of selling, again, what are you going to do? If it's just not selling, your money's stuck in it, what are you going to do? So can you rent it?
That leads to, underestimating, expenses. So, and we have talked about this in previous podcasts, getting a couple of quotes.
Yes.
Getting, 2 to 3 isn't out of the question.
Well, no, you absolutely should if you have the time.
If you've got the time, definitely. And that's why we always say make sure that you don't rush into these things.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're doing it and you're doing it well, and you've budgeted for the little unseen things that can come up as you're going along.
That's right. What about if you fail to sell the property at the desired price? You're going to take a loss. What are you going to do? What happens? Does that mean you then can't purchase another property to flip, or does that affect you actually drawing a salary for yourself?
It's all those things that you need to consider.
Yeah, because it does happen.
Absolutely.
And people will often string out the sale process. If you haven't got many people wanting to buy, you've only got one buyer, they might string it out. You've got to consider all of that. You might be in it like a holding pattern for an extra month.
Absolutely. And, considering all the time, the effort and the resources that you've put into it, you've really got to consider what you're going to do at the end of the day. But another good one is, we often say, if you've got a friend or, who's perhaps a tradie and you've got a profession that you do, can you swap them? So it's, taking a knife for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and then just saying to your friend, can you do, a day's work for me and I'll do exactly the same back to you?
Yeah, that's right. But always consider safety there.
Always
and skills.
Considering safety and skills.
Yeah.
And that's in everything. It's like when you do get your quotations, you've got to make sure that you've looked at exactly what you're getting quoted for.
Item by item.
Item by item. It's listed. and you make sure that, your quote does include what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because you don't want any stones unturned and
No.
any surprises as you go along.
That's right. Well, a big factor in the cons is house flipping is not for the inexperienced. I mean, I know you've always got to start somewhere and build up your experience, but if you've got someone that you can do it with, maybe your partner, it's always going to be better because from acquisition to marketing to sale, it's very time consuming and demanding. And if you haven't got any experience, this is where you might do your dough.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mind you, a lot of people are, looking online now, having a look at, what's done and how it can be done. And they are DIYing, doing it themselves.
Yeah, but is that right, Caroline?
Well, often that can cost you more if you are doing that. So you've got to consider it. Where do you employ people?
You've got to know your limits.
Know your limits. Where do you employ people? Is it, okay, for the laundry, the kitchen, the bathroom, I do need a plumber in there to do, that piece of work.
You need a specialised skill set.
Same with your electricians.
That's right.
They need to do their body of work. Like, you cannot be expected to do that yourself, and you can't say to yourself, I'm able to do that. It all needs to be certified. Yeah,
just because you're house flipping does not mean that anyone can do it.
Absolutely.
You're going to need a team of people, even if you're doing stuff too, that you're going to need skilled professionals who know how to do this and have years of experience
to come in along the way.
And that's going to cost money.
Absolutely. And your competition?
Yeah, definitely. So if competition is definitely greater these days because of all of these shows that we see of home renovation. So it's just getting harder and harder and harder. It's pushing the market up, and it's probably costing you more as a house flipper to get the house that you think that location needs or that client needs that you're looking for to buy. There's just many more people doing it. So therefore it's going to be harder.
Absolutely. I think that with, as we've talked about with all these shows out there, people think it is easier for them to do. Sometimes I don't know whether that is the case. I think you need to, take a step back, have a look at what you put yourself in for and what you're up against.
And I guess also, like, is this your main job? This might, as I said before, be a sideline business. You got to think about the time that goes into it.
Absolutely.
You're not just going to be rocking up for 20 minutes to talk to someone about what they have to do that day on site. You might be there suddenly for 2 hours.
Yes.
But what if you've got a meeting you've got to go to for your other job?
Exactly.
You've got to think about all of that.
Yeah, because you've got to also navigate, regulations.
That's right.
Within the build.
That's right.
Permits within that area or that particular house or block or whatever it may be. Legal point of views.
You might get fined for something.
Absolutely.
That you didn't know was even relevant.
Exactly.
That you've got to then take on.
And what are the regulations for that particular build? And the zoning.
Yeah.
Everything is zoned. So you've got to make sure that you understand all this and all the legal aspects of it and the compliances that you do your due
diligence.
Absolutely. Along the way.
Yeah. And, there might be an overlay.
Yes.
There might be 5 overlays that you didn't know you couldn't do X, Y, and Z to the property too because of the overlay.
Yeah. And these are costly fines. And it can also lead to delays.
Yeah.
And also can lead to disputes with others, disputes with neighbours.
That's right.
Whoever it may be, council, etc.
That's right. So what we're saying is you can't just YouTube how to renovate a house.
No, thanks.
And you definitely need permits.
Absolutely.
Hey, what about a myth?
A myth. Okay, go for it, Chrissy.
Renovations can be completed quickly.
No.
No. So don't ever think that. It's a definitely not situation. It can take longer than you think due to unforeseen issues, delays on materials, permits, and even design. Even the sale can hold you up, as we've been saying. So it's a definite no.
Definite no
for getting it done quickly.
Absolutely. How many times do we hear that took us another 6 months? How many times do we hear when are you going to move back in before Christmas? and it just doesn't happen.
Oh, when are you moving in? April. Right. And you're ringing them in October. Another 2 months.
Exactly.
We'd like to be in for Christmas.
Got another myth for you, Chrissy.
Mm.
Anyone can do it.
Well, no, Caroline, they can't.
Exactly. So know your limits, people.
Yeah.
And especially, and I know you do talk about this a lot, with safety aspects.
Yeah.
Know your limits.
Absolutely. Think of fire. Think of injuring yourself or someone on site.
Yeah.
You can't do it all.
No.
Right? And definitely watching YouTube is not going to mean that you can. Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening today. We hope you enjoyed our program and you know how to find us. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to get in touch, email us on thedesignduet@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram page, The Design Duet.